Hello, welcome to the Heart of Collaboration. We're right here in the beautiful TV department in the studio of WKCTC, award-winning community college. And I'm your host, Dr. Bernice Belt, and I am so grateful that you've taken time to view, to listen, because we really have something to tell you, something to teach you, educating and just making you aware of all the wonderful things that go on in and around our community. And today we continue our series on new pastors, and we have Pastor Benessa Sweat, who is she's still a new pastor. She still has a new smell on her at Burks Chapel. Yes. So welcome, Pastor.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome, and I'm so happy that you're here. I know that you work, I know that you travel, and you're the pastor of that church, and I know that you have a big old heaped up plate. But I'm grateful that you have time to come and hang out with us and the viewing audience.
Thank you so much again for having me.
Well, tell us the full name of the church.
It is Burks Chapel African Methodist Episcopal Church.
All right. And when did you become the pastor of this great church?
I became the pastor November 1st, 2017.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Good. You just did make it in the new pastor period.
I just barely made it, but yes.
Oh. Well, tell us, how in the world did you get to Paducah, Kentucky?
Well, I have to thank God first, and then I have to thank my bishop, Jeffrey Leith. He is the Episcopal Prelate of the 13th Episcopal District, which makes up the state of Tennessee and Kentucky. Mm-hmm. And during one of our annual conferences, he pulled me to the side and we had a conversation, and he asked me if I would come to Burks Chapel. I was a little hesitant because I was just used to familiar territory, and I was, prior to Burks Chapel, I pastored McGavick Chapel, a small church that had family roots. It was the home of my great-grandparents and my grandparents and my mom, so I pastored family. So then when he asked me to come to Paducah, Kentucky, I didn't know anything about Burks Chapel, anyone at Burks Chapel, and so I was a little afraid and a little intimidated. But then once I got to the grounds of that church, the edifice, the structure, the historical value, beautiful, I was in love. But then when I met the people, I was deeply in love. Aww. Yes. They welcomed me with open arms, and I'm a Tennessee Vol girl, but the Wildcats of Kentucky, they welcomed me and they embraced me, and we've been having a ball ever since.
That's wonderful, and I know they love you, and when I see you and your members out together at different functions, you come out and you try to bring an entourage representing Burks Chapel with you and to support things that are going on in our community.
Yes.
And I know that my brother, Mr. President of the NAACP, yes. J.W. Cleary, yes. I know he is crazy about his pastor.
And I'm crazy about him.
Yeah, I want to tell him sometimes, listen, I'm tired of hearing about Reverend Sweat. But he is so proud of you and appreciative of you, and I want you to know that.
Thank you.
And giving a shout out to my brother. I call him Mr. President.
Yes.
And then you have my soror. You have
yes.
Shirley Massey.
Yes.
And I see you have your Greek.
Oh, yes.
Come on, tell us about it.
I'm a very proud member of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated, and yes, I will have to say that I am a proud member, but your soror, as well as some other sorors at Burks Chapel, take very good care of me.
I know they do, and mine is Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority.
All right.
And I tell people all the time, because I believe in service organizations,
yes.
and so what I say is it's all Greek to me. It's all
yes.
Greek to me. But I wanted you to have an opportunity to plug a little bit, because there's a lot of history
yes.
in our service organization.
Exactly.
Also, there at Burks Chapel, tell us a bit about the ministries that are already in place, because I know you have plans going into the future,
yes.
and I won't labor on that too much, because those are things that you need to complete. But what are some of the ministries that you have currently?
Well, we currently have the Sons of Allen, which is the men's group and men's ministry that they come together, and it's newly formed, and they're trying to get their feet dug into the sand, but basically they do community outreach through projects that stems from suggestions from the top in our conference community outreach. They do back to school backpacks for the children. And sometimes they even go out to some of the senior members and do some handiwork around the house, the things that they can't do. And then we have the Women's Missionary Society that's big on missions.
Yes.
And we sponsor children in underdeveloped areas because the African Methodist Episcopal Church is connectional.
Yes.
We have churches all the way into Africa, Jamaica, all over. And so but unfortunately in some of our districts over in Africa, they're just not as developed as over here stateside. So a lot of our missionary work is done to extend a helping hand to those churches and or congregations that help facilitate some things as far as advancing some advancements in school, clean water, school supplies, and things of that nature. One thing we are getting ready to develop here at Burks Chapel is Unity for Excellence. It's a mentoring and tutoring program that we're trying to get off the ground. It's just something that I started when I was a senior at Austin Peay State University, and I chose it as my senior project. And the late Reverend Donald Williams took me under his wing, and he allowed me to do the pilot program there at St. Paul AME there in Oakwood, Tennessee. And basically what it is, it's we found that there's a big proportion of children placed in special education programs when all they need is just a little outside classroom one-on-one supplemental help. So the program is offered through the church, and we just take Saturdays and we get the curriculum and we work with the school system, and we offer one-on-one tutoring to those children who have been identified at risk. And then not only that, we just tutor them in those subject areas as well as mentor them in life skills. And I do rely on the community as well as the Greek lettered organizations to help with volunteerism, because that was one of the reasons why I went into Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated, because they were founded by 7 educators.
Yes.
And I knew that education was going to be the heart of what I did when I grew up and got to where I am today. And because right now I'm in early education.
Yes.
So early intervention is very important. So Unity for Excellence is, I would say, my pet project. And I introduced it to Burks Chapel, and they were immediately, they jumped on board. But I have to truthfully say I'm blessed with great fellowship there at Burks Chapel. So be looking for some of that information coming out soon, because we hope to launch here soon at the beginning of this school year.
Excellent, excellent. Thank God.
Yes.
We need all the mentoring programs we can get
Yes.
in our community, just as all communities do.
Right.
Tell us again the men's ministry, the name of the men's ministry again.
Sons of Allen.
Sons of Allen.
Yes.
Now tell us why that name came about.
Sons of Allen is based on the, it is basically the men of the church, and is named after our founder, Bishop Richard Allen. He was the first consecrated and elected bishop of our organization, church. And so basically it is the accompaniment of the Women's Missionary Society,
Wonderful.
which is based upon the works of Supervisor Sarah Allen, who was Bishop Allen's wife. And so the Sons of Allen is basically carrying on the mantle of what our founder, Bishop Allen, started.
Yes, yes. And the children's ministry, that was your senior project?
Yes.
At Austin Peay State
Yes,
University?
it was.
I want you to know that I graduated from APSU
All
with my
right.
Bachelor of Science.
All right.
Oh my goodness, I did not know that.
All right.
That's
Okay.
awesome. You know, as strange as it may sound in this huge world that we live in, it really is smaller than
It
we
really
think.
is. It really is.
My parents used to say, be careful how you treat people.
That's
you
right.
don't know who you talking
Never
to.
know. That's right.
But I'm happy to know that.
Yes.
Austin Peay was one of my greater experiences in my life.
Absolutely, mine as well.
Yes, yes, it's wonderful. When you came to Paducah, you never heard of Paducah, probably couldn't find it on the map right away. But since you've been here, what has been some of your community experiences that are now close to your heart?
Well, one of the things, and with having Brother Cleary there at the church, my renewed interest and being active in the NAACP.
Yes.
There's a lot of things that, yes, we have achieved as a country, as a race, as a people over time, but there are things that are happening in the world today that shows us that we have a long way to go. And and with Brother Cleary being there, I have to truthfully say, making me more socially conscious about social injustice and things of that nature, and equality, but just the fellowship, the brotherhood, regardless of the color of your skin, your social, economic background, just that sense of fellowship with your fellow citizen, and just that sense of community coming together for the good of not just the community, but of your fellow man is one of the things that have truly sparked my interest, and I admire the works that has been done and that I've seen in the community since I've been there at Burks. And through that, and through his involvement and him bringing me along, I've been able to meet some marvelous people, networking and working together, and just wanting to be a part of a bigger thing that's bigger than anything I ever imagined that I could be, but making a difference.
Yes.
It's the biggest thing.
Yes. When I first met you, I think it was by text message.
I think so, yes.
I think so. Because Soror Shirley Massey, and she said, "You know, we have a new pastor, don't you?" And I said, "Well, I heard it. I heard it through the grapevine." I said, "Who is your new pastor?" She told me. And then she kind of looked at me, and I said, "I know what you're going to say, Soror Shirley. You're going to say you need to have her on your TV show." And I said, "And I most certainly am going to ask her if she would come on this TV show." And I said, "Because we really want to introduce her to the community. She's already active." And I said, "But many people don't know her yet, and so we'll just be yet another vehicle through which that can happen."
Yes, and I appreciate that.
And certainly we are not the alpha and omega, but we want to do our part to help push that along.
Thank you.
Have you enjoyed any of the things like the quilt? Did
Yes.
you? Oh, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah, I love the quilt museum. Is beautiful. I mean, just the admiring the artwork and just knowing the intricate details, and just glad that that's not a lost art. But I've really enjoyed Paducah and getting to know the community and the things of the community, and staying there right there at the Holiday Inn. I've been able to see the beautiful scenic views of Paducah and just the rich culture that it has. And I just didn't know that the quilt museum was a big deal until I tried to make a reservation.
Yes,
but
indeed.
so it made me appreciate it and learn more about it. And Barbecue on the River is another one that the Brotherhood of Burks Chapel participates in, and I look forward to being a participant with them as well this year. And so I just really appreciate the culture. And Paducah has a very strong sense of family that I really love. And although I hadn't been to Paducah, I had heard of Paducah, but didn't really know what it was famous for. And now the museum is a big, intricate part of that nucleus of why a lot of people know about Paducah. But for me, basically it was church oriented, because my predecessor, Reverend Baby Doll Kennedy, she is from Clarksville, and she and I grew up together, and she was the one that she gave me a lot of background and history of Paducah. But it wasn't until I really came here and started experiencing it for myself. It's home away from home for me.
Yes.
I love it.
You know, we are known all over the world for quilting.
Yes.
And the event, we have a fall event, and then we have a spring event, and we're known all over the world. There are people who come to our community and can barely speak English, but they know all about quilting and know all about Paducah, Kentucky. And it's fun to talk to them because they're so excited. They're like kids walking around town, you know, eyes are sparkling, and you know, and they can't wait to go to the next place and what have you. And then also we are known for art.
Yes.
What do you think about that? Have you been able to go and look around yet?
I have a little bit. One of the church members took me around one of the first weeks I got here, and she was able to share some things with me. Fine arts is big here, is from what I understand.
Yes.
And the thing that she did show me is the mural downtown.
And
I
yes,
thought it
ma'am.
was so breathtaking and beautiful. And then to also see that Burks Chapel was included, of course, that was a proud pastor
Yes.
moment for me. But just very rich in culture and the, you know, and I have an 18-year-old daughter, well, soon to be 18-year-old,
Yes.
and I told my husband, with ministry is an itinerancy, and sometimes pastors move into the communities in which they serve. And I told my husband, Paducah would have been an awesome place to raise our daughter had we got here earlier and everything. And because it is so rich with the culture, the fine arts, almost some to the point where it reminds me of my Austin P days.
Yes.
And the art, the plays, the music, and just how you all embrace those areas, because it's almost a lost course. The music and heart of the music industry, and how we used to come up, and the arts was a big part of our education. I know it's not as emphasized as it was when I was coming up, but I'm just so glad it's not lost here in
Indeed,
Paducah.
indeed. And right here at WKCTC, the television department,
Yes.
and we have the theater, Clemens Fine Arts Center, and we have wonderful shows and different things that come to this stage. Students, arts in focus, you know, and then we have student art that's displayed in a room right down the hall, and just awesome, just all kind of neat things that are going on all the time. And so I'm glad you're here too. I'm glad that your daughter is here.
Yes.
A few minutes ago, you said that you teach what area?
Well, actually, I'm an assistant director there at the Army installation at Fort Campbell. I am the assistant director of Eagles Child Development Center.
Oh.
But I did start many years ago in Hawaii, as a matter of fact, at Fort Shafter, and I started as a classroom teacher for
Yes.
preschoolers, and I found that that's where my passion was.
Yes.
So I just, throughout the years of my husband's Army career, I was able to move my career with him. So I'm now into my 22nd year in the early education field, and but I've moved up into the ranks from teacher, and now I'm an assistant director.
Awesome, right there at Fort Campbell, Kentucky.
Yes.
That is so beautiful.
I love it. I love the children. It's you never know what you're going to get in a conversation with a 3-year-old, but all of them are my babies. I tell them that, but I truly believe that in helping the soldiers being able to complete their mission by leaving their children with us
Yes.
for the day and not having to worry about them, because I truly do everything that I can to make those children feel loved, protected, and secured, so the parents can go on and do what they need to do for our country. And it's in a small way giving back. They protect the country in that way, but we do and render our service so that they can. So yes, early childhood is that's my area. Babies, everyone knows at church as well that children are the heart of my ministry. And one group that I did fail to mention earlier is our young people's department.
Yes.
And I got to Burks, we had a few children, but since that time, and my daughter is the Tennessee Annual Conference president, so therefore she brought a different flair and style to Burks Chapel, and where we had an active YPD, the participation was a little low, but I'm proud to say that we went from a few children to now we have over 20. So that is a blessing.
Congratulations.
Yes. And they do a great deal and represent Paducah in that way. And in fact, my daughter is on her way to Columbus, Ohio to represent not only Burks Chapel, but Paducah, Kentucky. And she's going to give a little snippet and a little presentation. And she's going to represent Paducah in that way as well. And so
Outstanding.
she's excited about that, and but that is the biggest thing, and that again, Unity for Excellence is that desire to help our youth as well as the youth in the community as well. So again, we're going to launch that here right before the beginning of this school year, and we're going to service any children free of charge, because you know, sometimes children, again, they just need that little supplemental help, and sometimes that help is hard to come by financially for some families, and we just want to be a blessing, because there at Burks Chapel, we're here to serve. You know, we serve a mighty God, but we're also here to serve the people in the community in which we live. So we had to get to know each other in this first year.
Yes.
I still even say we're in our honeymoon phase, but I am truly blessed with the members at Burks Chapel, and I just presented them with the project, and they ran with it. You know, the Bible says, write the vision and make it plain.
Make it plain.
Yes, and write it on tablets so they will run and not get weary. Well, Burks Chapel has been running ever since I got there, and I'm just really blessed. You know, I'm a pastor, and I don't take it for granted that everyone wants to follow, you know, the leader, but I'm truly blessed there at Burks. Everything that God has given the vision, He's given the increase, but He's also provided the fellowship of my members. I'm truly blessed, and I tell everyone I belong to Burks, and Burks belongs to me.
Oh, what a way! What a way to put that.
And you know, and it's just the way that you know, I'm not a mega pastor, not trying to be. I just want to be an humble servant of God. But the biggest thing that I've learned, and through my upbringing from my parents, you know, you just treat people the way you want to be treated. And so that's been my motto, and Burks Chapel has been very good to me, very good to me.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy about that. And I'm happy about the work that you do at Fort Campbell.
Yes.
And I'm glad that your daughter is walking in her calling and her anointing as well. And I'm just proud of it. I'm just proud of all of it.
Thank you.
What would, if you had to say what you would like to encourage parents to do, if you had 3, 4, 5, whatever number of things that you would like to express to all parents to do for their children moving forward as parents, what would those things be?
Well, one of the things is parenting is not easy in this day and age. As my mother and my father made it look very easy, and it was only until I became a parent that I came to appreciate some of the lessons that they tried to teach me, and they did teach me, but I just was hard-headed and had to learn the hard way.
Been there.
Yes, but the biggest thing is, you know, it's never being the biggest advocate you can for your child.
Yes.
You know, oftentimes I deal with parents, and you know, if a child has a day that wasn't so perfect, and you know, the parents are constantly, oh, I'm so sorry, you know, and but they, you know, feel that they have to apologize on behalf of their children. Children are going to be children. They learn through play, they explore, but I tell parents, always be the best advocate you can be for your child, always.
Well, you know what? That actually says it all, because whether you have 5, 6, 7, 10 bullet points under there, it's irrelevant, because it only applies to each child individually. But to be their child's advocate, and then advocate for their needs, whatever those needs are. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask questions. You don't have to understand the language. None of us walk around talking like that.
That's right.
But pursue, and pursue. Just be polite. Just be respectful, but pursue. That is a good way to end this segment, to end this episode. And Pastor, so as time goes on and you develop different things there at the church, we're going to want to know about it, and we're going to want to share it. So I'll holler back at you another time, okay?
Thank you so much for having me.
You.
God bless you as well.
You're very welcome, fellow
you.
Greek woman.
Yes.
Thank you for tuning in to The Heart of Collaboration.